Welcome to the BIDE podcast, the podcast of the Barcelona International Dance Exchange. Today, in our episode number 55, we have as a guest Wim Vandekeybus. Wim, welcome to the podcast.
You're welcome.
So, the first question that we used to talk with our guests this year, we decided mostly to talk about themselves a bit. So, if you can define yourself not through the things you do, more as you are, who is Wim Vandekeybus? No, who Wim Vandekeybus or what Wim Vandekeybus is doing. So, how can you define yourself nowadays during this period of your life?
Yeah, it's a good question, but on the other hand, it's also for me, it's not so easy to separate as my work is a bit my life. But I am a multitask person. I can combine many things. I'm also an artistic leader of a company, so they are a bit my kids. I have two kids myself who are very different age. I am a person who doesn't like too much to be put in a box.
And what is for you a box?
A box is when somebody tells me what to do and how to do it. And I had that a bit from the beginning when I was in school. When the teacher said you have to do it like this, I was a bit rebelling against it. I think it's more a character. It's maybe to situate myself comes, of course, from my parents. My father was a veterinarian. They had 6 kids, so we had 6 kids all very close together. It's a huge family, so each year or each 2 years came another kid, so you had to take care a bit for yourself. You were part of a group. And this made me also like, some people chose to be interested in this and that, but to travel a lot with my father, who always was invited as a veterinarian in the time when everything went basically wrong. So when everything was wrong, then they formed a veterinarian and he has to solve it. So I saw dreadful things in nature. I saw beautiful birds, but I saw also terrible, tragic deaths of animal. But I learned to be very connected to that and to deal with it. And still in my work, because I never studied dance, neither cinema, neither theater, professionally, but it's all what I do. So maybe I'm a bit a professional amateur.
Okay.
That's how I define me sometimes. I say, I do this. I do the lights, I make cinema, I make long metrage. But I feel, I don't know good how they organize it, but I'm used to work very chaotic and I can deal with it and I find my way in it. My life is a bit like this too.
Okay, so being a guy who don't like to be put in the box and also came like me from a huge family, when you are cultivated and raised through a lot of sister brothers, uncles and blah, blah, blah. And also with this relationship with the nature through your father and through the animals. What do you think or what do you feel that you are bringing to the performing arts table? What do you think that is your adding or your taste or your recipe or your plate, in so to speak?
Well, I make shows without thinking about directly the time spirit or how it can fit. I was teaching here in Del Tebre, and I said also a lot of things come sometimes from innocence. Of course, I'm from a generation where people had no internet. So basically, you had to inform yourself, you had to go to the library, or you had to travel to go to see a show. You couldn't see a video of it. It was impossible. So it was another time. So we knew much less, but what we knew, we really wanted to know. We worked on that we could see it, that we could meet that person or that work. And it's different because we were all a bit in our bubble and we made work and it was very different from each other. There was a big variation. People came with something. When I made What the Body Does Not Remember, it was for me a performance. But then we went to New York and it won the Bessie Award for the best renovating dance performance. And after it changed the whole dance landscape. Why? Because we were not dancers. We were not dance educated, although I work now with top dancers who have I go to classic companies sometimes and make contemporary work for them because they need it. In our time, ballet dancers never would come to see a contemporary work. It was another thing. It was not dance. And now they ask filmmakers to do opera, to direct opera, although they don't know the theater, they don't know how it works, but they change the medium. And I think it's important that we think a bit like this. So my recipe is always a bit like, I don't have to do what is there already, even not for my own work. Destroy it and start again. Big challenges. Like this year, I start Infamous Offspring, which is about the Greek gods. So I was 2 years reading about who is who. The day I create, I close my book, I say, now I don't read anymore, now I'm going to make my Artemis, my Aphrodite, my Zeus, my Hera, because it's a contemporary patchwork family. So I inform myself, but after I'm very free to turn it upside down or inside out.
And going deeper in this last research that you was doing, with what god or goddess you feel connected to after reading so many of them or so many of their characters, and also knowing that their families are not easy at all, you know?
No, I think I don't feel identified with one or another really, but I find it funny that it's really father, mother, the best friend of the family, who is the oracle, who is Tiresias, who comes, who is the wisdom, who said, what should I do? What should I study? Or whatever. So there is a kind of, what interests me is not so much who is it, but how the gods, for instance, were super afraid that the kids would have more power than themselves. So Kronos was eating his kids. Just dreadful. You understand?
Yeah.
How they all are ambitious and jealous on each other and want power. It's all about power. But as soon as something happens, bang, they are family because the blood bound brings them together.
This is stronger than anything else.
And I like that. It's a bit like big family. You are like competition, ta. But as soon as something happens, boom, you are a group. And it's fantastic for the scene. And there is a lot of tragedy, there is a lot of dreadful things, but they create also this oppositions. And I think we live in a time of polarization of opinions. But on the scene, it's polarization of act. If Athena wants purity and Aphrodite wants to have the pleasure and this, and for her it's an art form, it's interesting to meet these two women and how they can still like each other and learn from each other. But there could be some electricity, which is good for the stage also. And that's what inspires me.
Super. And after so many years and after now this research that you are not you are a lot involved right now, where you think that your questions are right now, you know, because in a matter you put different type of physicality. I mean, I saw you first in '98, you know, long time ago. I studied with you a few times in Brussels in 2003 and 2004. But where you feel that now are your questions as an artist or as a dance creator or as a man who don't want to put in the box that you define yourself before?
Well, I am not a person of big messages, like I'm gonna change the world with my performance or something. But I think I also like these old stories who repeat themselves. I did the killing of the infants, the story of Herod, and I discovered that Krishna, who was 5,000 years ago, was the same story. Father was carpenter, he was already out before the murder happens, and he was announced to be a new king. There's 3,000 years between. We are only 2,000 years further, or after Christ. And I think a lot of things repeat. And now we are in this evolution of internet, of destruction of the animals. The last 50 years, 59% of the wild animals disappeared in my life, who are gone, disappeared. They never can come back. There can come a variation. So if it goes on, it could be a big looping. So we feel a kind of urgency. In my time, we took the plane, and Ultima always was booking very late. We were in the back of the plane and say, captain says that you can smoke. Bang, half of the plane was smoking. I mean, you imagine, try to bring a lighter inside the plane now. It was the time of no fear, of everything is under control. We own everything. You
Yeah.
understand? It was this time.
Yeah.
But people were somehow daring, happy, making plans, buying earth, migrate to Australia, migrate to this, because I knew these farmers who had 13 acres in Belgium, and after a while they say, oh, they go to Australia, they have now 3,500 acres or something in this time. You understand? Of course, it took them time. And now it's like, we live in this panic time.
Yeah.
And too many people,
totally.
everything is too much, and everything is destroying each other and doing this and that. Of course, the earth is evolving. Normally, we should go back now to an ice time. So we say it gets too hot, but normally the earth should go to an ice time. But because of the global warming and this and that, everything goes maybe in a looping and this. Yeah, it's heavy times, but it's psychologically heavy times. Like it's when I work with the gods, it's like they are immortal, and the god says, "Can you stop to save the people and make alive again these mortals? Mortals are there to die." And I changed it. I said, "Mortals are there to suffer," because I think the psychological blockage or the blocking thing where we need a psychiater, you know, where you are this moment of this or that side, to change that's interesting, and that's the big taboo. That's the death. In fact, when you block, but we can stand up. Physically, we cannot. The nature asks you back what it lent to you, the life. In a certain moment, says, "Come, give it back. It was not yours. You just lended it. I'm a library, a library."
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And this year with some of our guests, the fear and the panic is part of the common language, let's say, to everybody, and also people who are maybe younger than us, in a way of people who are in the middle 30s, and they had a different type of 30s that we had before, So my next question is related to this: how you think we can transcend, or what I say in Spanish, cómo podemos trascender este fear, este panic. How we can to go over or through, maybe.
Don't read every day social media, maybe.
This is one.
Because the fear is also provoked by repeating and social media, of course. I mean, wars, they were always there. Of course, they are dreadful, but now it's also media wars. And of course, it's horrible, but it's from both sides that you are like, how is this possible? But they are probably, It's important to be informed, but also it's important to, I think there is kind of a general respect for other things around. People have an insurance and they can curse because it goes wrong. But the general respect is things can go wrong. You understand? And we were there 15 years in America. If American goes from city to another city, which could be 300-400 kilometers, they take a special insurance for this travel. That if something happened, they are covered. The doctors in America, they don't want to deliver the baby naturally. So almost 85% of the women have cesarean to avoid that if something goes wrong, the doctor cannot be sued. But that means the natural birth is gone. And the natural birth is maybe very important for starting the brain, I don't know, the hormonal thing. Even in Belgium, you go to the delivery thing and it doesn't go fast enough. Hup, they do a Baxter with thing, and suddenly all the contractions come. But the body is not ready. We are not anymore ready to listen to the nature, what has to happen, or to listen to community. Of course, 8 billion people, miljard, billion, miljard.
Billion. Yeah.
We are now, it's a lot. And then there are tensions. If tomorrow Chinese people would just enter Europe and say, sorry, we are more. We are 300 and you 3. So better move out. Yeah, then it's like this, because there is a multitude of people that is on the earth. I heard recently, it was an interesting thing for me, because they said the earth will go till 11 miljard. and that would be a disaster. The Earth cannot hold that. But I heard now that because of all this and that it will be only 8.7 and then go down, which gives us also hope that we probably they say in how many years, in I don't know how many thousand years, that all the scientists are 100% sure that human being will be out of the Earth, because we are the weakest
animal. Yes.
Yes, the weakest animal. We are the predator because we have guns, we have all these things. As soon as we have something, we take antibiotics and the body loses its resistance. The pandemic was an example of it. And the octopus, the crocodile, the cucaracha, all this, they will survive even the nuclear things.
Absolutely.
Because they are resistant, but human, we are the weakest.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to know this also, that we are the more powerful but the more weakest, and still we destroy each other. I'm always thinking of how they would look down to us. Say, look, they are killing each other. It's strange. You understand?
Yeah.
There are not so many species who kill themselves. They have hierarchy, but kill themselves?
No.
Probably, there are, but it's a strange thing.
Yeah. But if there is, it's just a minority. It's not the usual.
If we do, it's because we want the same thing.
Yeah, sure.
That's the thing.
Sure. And where you think is now the contemporary body, with all this noise around us, this digital noise that, don't give us the chance to interact with each other from the touch, especially after the pandemic where touching was not allowed, was prohibited. So where you think now, 3 years after, and also after all the things that you share with us, is the contemporary, I wanted to say that the today body,
Yeah, take care. In the pandemic, there were a lot of people also who got to touch each other, because a father had suddenly time to make a massage to his son, to play football with him, or I don't know, to be stuck at home, but to do things that they never did. It was also a bit the opposite, even when it was a smaller group, but it's interesting. But I think the contemporary body somehow gets very unphysical. Look to the steps, you see all the people standing and moving like crazy through the red light. And in Belgium, it's they don't bike anymore, you understand? And they just stand. In 10 years, they have belly like this, I think. They don't move anymore. And I always give this example. Before, you had to go to your television and touch your television to have the channel. If you want a new channel, you go again to the television. Now, you just, you don't touch anymore. You do it on distance. You understand? We Skype, we do WhatsApp, and we talk to each other, but it's on the screen. We go more and more to unphysical work. Even driving, you don't have to touch the steering wheel anymore soon. The car will do it themselves and you can sleep. So everything gets less and less physical. So the body gets useless, totally useless. So after it gets useless, what they do, they take an abonnement from the gym and they go to run next to another person with headsets and look to a screen where the landscape comes from and do, this is pretty far. If we would have talked about that in the 80s, we would say, really? Sorry, this makes me laugh, but it's pretty far how you see it. So, contact is still important for me, and that's why also in my work I still touch, even if Roberto gives me a too big group, I still try to say, let's do the duos, let's do how you can jump to each other, how you have to trust each other, how you do, because it's important, it's a story. And
it's interaction also,
yes.
It's going back
people,
and forth.
But it's really strange because even in dancing in space or something, people don't look to others. And that's why I make things where they have to look in space. Where is the other group? Wait for each other too. And they learn in 5 days. But it's hard because they are used to be in their bubble with their headsets and frontal and do the same on my spot, my territory, and somebody else. But it's not Brazilian beach. I call it Brazilian beach. I say in the Brazilian beach, you have to be, everything can happen, but you can play really very physical. They're all busy, they jump, do, train. It smells the sweat and this. But it's interesting. It's like, It's exciting. It's not ordered. It's wow, and there happens something, but they never hit. You understand? And we have to. This it's like you can't touch or do. It's very strange. It's very strange for me. So yeah, I'm a bit creating this chaos maybe on the scene that could make the public a bit from. I would like to participate.
And going back to one of my first question, you already shared what you bring to the table. What do you think that this performing art, dance, or movement, or whatever you want to call, give you back? What is give you back to you? What is coming back to your body, to your sense, to your feelings, emotions?
Well, it's a good question. I think that nowadays in my time there were no dancers. If you were not a classical dancer or a kung fu person or karate, there was nothing in between. Contemporary dance was very vague. You could not follow a yoga class in Brussels. Forget it. There were no workshops. Maurice Béjart was there. We could rent a space next to him, and then Baryshnikov was working with him, eating in Mudra, our sandwich next to them. But then we had our garage and this and that. But the world changed. Now a lot of people are busy with dance. But a lot of people are also busy with dance. Why? Because they are busy with themselves. It has to feel good. It has to do. And I know also, I never studied dance, but I knew that making a play, you suffer. Because you have to do things that are not so pleasant. What the body was not so good for the body. But it was exciting, but not so good. Throwing stones, you better watch out. And you can receive it on your head. There was the accidental thing, the necessity. The people are throwing stones and staying under. So, or somebody saves you, or the stone crashes on your head. So the public can see why, and that's why it was a revolution. It was not aesthetic, it was necessity, the instinct that was needed to survive. Not only, of course, there were also, but even a pickpocket, when he hit somebody and he has to steal the wallet, he has to create an accident to profit from it, to hide something else. That was the energy that interested me. The energy of, I'm sitting here, but if I put my chair down, maybe the floor could be imaginary on vertical instead of horizontal. And the public will follow. It's like taking a picture in space conflict. Touching. We were gonna frisk people, like in the airport, but we did it just to provoke a thing, and that there was little by little a seduction. Was one of the historical scenes of passion, but cold passion, I frisk you to find something, but not in your pockets, just I touch your body and I repeat it, and then you can seduce me or not, and at the end you have to serve things. It's like a tango. Yes, no, yes, no, no, yes. And I find it interesting to push these things. Now I lost a bit the question.
No, the question is what is coming back to you.
Yeah.
This is what you bring, but nowadays,
Yeah.
what do you think, that what your body remember right now,
Yeah, I think the body remembers, but also I don't see it as a form. I don't see my creations formal. I see my creations as telling something, not only a message, sometimes throwing something that doesn't have an answer, but that provokes a question or whatever. But we must know that if we go on stage, it's a privilege. You understand? If I come on stage, or any dancer or any this, there are 800 people looking passively to one person who crosses the stage. So this person is very powerful. He can do something, or she can do something or not, but people look to it. So you must provide from this power and also from this responsibility. What are we giving? Are we entertaining the people? Are we only showing the beauty, that they feel good, they go out, they feel good, but they forgot it immediately? Or do we provoke something else? Now, I have more and more now, because I get maybe a long time on the run, people who come say, because of your show, my whole life changed. Because I started something else. And I like that something else changed by showing something. Of course, it can happen. I also see things, say, wow, this could be. Now it's very different. because people see a lot and they are a lot quickly want to change. If I give workshops in Vienna, yeah, people are basically every room, other top artists, people go after half an hour, they say, it's not my stuff. I go to the next. So they are workshop shopping.
Yeah.
But you have top people and after half an hour they go say, I don't like it. I mean, at least here, people sleep here.
Yes.
It has something of, okay, we are here
it's
to
more,
do something.
Yeah, it's more immersive.
And yes, absolutely. And not hanging around and choosing when it gets a bit difficult, go out. Hello. And that's a bit the thing. So what gives it back? For me, I like to put a fire in the people, and maybe this wildness and still technical also. I am very creative in creating storytelling in another way, but with bodies, with happenings, with things. I'm very creative in this, and to invent it, to invent it with the people. And for me, the creation gives me a lot back. Not from, you're famous and you did this. I feel the same like them. But I'm still between them. If you have a lot of choreographers also, they just sit in front and make the piece. I could never do that, I think. It's really strange. Of course, in certain moments you have to go out, do lights and rhythm and all these things. But I like that it's an event. I'm a bit an action-driven director also. I'm not psychological or conceptual or formal. I make something happen and this provokes something. And what it provokes could be rational. But we are already in the next thing. It's like, action happens, and I like that. Without that, it's not an action comparison with an action movie. It's deep, but we do it through things. Although it's theater. You can't die really on the scene. You can't put a real bear on the scene. But you can lift your arms and you become a deer with antlers. And then we have a whole scene with antlers where we transform. And I think history of theater is human like to transform. We always like something else. Why? It comes from the carnival. In the carnival, we dress up like somebody else. The man in my village, the men dress up, a whole street dress up as women, as nuns, in fact. You see the butcher suddenly as a nun making comedy in the carnival. You are there. What is this? But we like that. And we like to play the tragedy of other people, to remember, to understand, to go through it again, to tell. We like the catharsis in one way. But all these things in the formal dance now, it's not so much there. A lot of young people don't know who is La 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 Human Step and who is Louise Le Cavalier, who was the punk lady in the contemporary and classic dance, who changed everything, that everybody fell from his chair and said, what is this? You understand?
Yeah. Well, some people don't know who is Pina Bausch, you know. So.
Pina Bausch still a bit, because he still is touring a bit.
Yeah, but anyway, young people who don't know
but
who is
how
Pina.
is it possible that people who give history of dance and so in schools, and people who studied 4 years never saw a video of La La Human Steps? Okay, it has 3 pixels, but it's incredible. I am shocked then. I say, what did they do in your school? There are people who finish the 4 year of schools and they never did really serious contact thing, because you don't need it. Okay, very nice. But in 4 years, if you see what we do in 1 week, in 3 hours a day, I would like to know what they can do in 4 years. This is not responsible for me, because they should know this to say, what can we do after that? What can we change? And who's going to kill their father? I like the father killing. You understand?
I see.
You have to kill your father.
Yeah.
That means your teacher, you have to kill him and to come with something stronger. You understand? Or something different. But it's very important in art and creation, because it's always transforming, new. There must be things that I say, wow, this I never could have done.
Yeah.
Now.
The brain transforming is a lot of. I have a lot of relationship with motion, you know. So the motion itself, I remember I study Nicolai's technique. So he always said the difference between emotion and motion. What is being in the emotion and what is to be in motion. And he always said that he preferred to be in motion more than in emotion, because the emotion is something that lasts for a few seconds. And the motion is a transformative type of path of life. So I get from your side this idea of transformation is similar, or means motion in a bit, and sorry to finish my reflection, and my next question is, if I see you now, and honestly, I see you many years ago, I see the same guy, of course, with the path in your back, and also path in my back, but that he still choose to be in motion, and who still want to transform things. And the very end is, you want to transform yourself still nowadays?
Well, I am laying in the river who goes, but you are a bit stuck with yourself also. In a certain moment, you know yourself more, which is important also, I think. I don't like to work with people who don't know who they are or something, or that you cannot. I think as a leader, you need to be reliable. You can say, wait, I'm going to be very tough now, but I have a reason for that. You will see it later. Ta, 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 ta. And then they see it and then not. And I always listen to people. For me, the dancers are co-creating. They are making a lot of movements with ideas. But I have to keep the thing in motion, like you say, which is very beautiful. I think he was very clever, your master. Because it's very important. I say sometimes, listen, people, the drama is in the movement. You don't have to act the thing. It's so strong, the movement, that's the drama, and not, I am acting it. Because then we are in an opera.
Yes.
You understand? And a lot of overacting, and you see a lot of contemporary dance shows, and people are walking on the scene, waiting to start, looking to the others, but they don't know why they walk. And you never can walk normal on the scene. When you walk, you know why you walk and where you go. And because it's a compression of time. You work 6 months or 4 months or 3 months to have 1 hour and a half. So it's like a lot of olives for a drop of oil. And so it's very compressed. It's very compressed what we show. So everything you show is important. It's not filling. There is no filling. And that's the thing to understand this intensity. Now, nothing means the stop. The emptiness, the nothingness is very important, because then you have dancers who come and they make so much effort, they are a bit hysteric, they never stop. But these oppositions that you suddenly are nothing, you are calm, and you start again. This making music with the ta-ta, starting again, attack. It's like a drum, like the boom and the upbeat and the downbeat, and the number 7. The 3 in the 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. You understand? The gypsy thing, the 9, the 13. That's the interesting with the and, not the 8.
Well, actually, something that I feel I have in common with the music that you usually produce in your pieces, that I love also as a musician, the irregular beats, because life is irregular, it's not regular. So counting, when you're dancing in this type of, counting that you refer, is challenging, but it's challenging similar how challenging it is to be alive, So this is why I try to also to fight the 4-4 all the time, that it's okay, but at the very end you can, as you said, with this Austria Vienna type of example, that remind me my Je suis fatigué phrase that I get from the first time that I was in Belgium working in Brussels in 2003, that after 2 hours, one said, je suis fatigué. We just start, I can be, 6 hours. And the other said, je pas mangé, je n'ai pas mangé. So this laziness, of following. So, this laziness is coming from long before. But I love the irregular music because, and also, of course, I love the irregular dance in a way of not being all the time being predictable. You know what I mean? So I want to, for end this absolutely amazing talk with you, we used to, this year, to get the game of that our guest bring a question from our next guest. So I have a question for you, but before you receive it, and if you want, you can also answer the question. What type of question you want to?
But what is the question of the previous?
No, coming after. Irregular. So, what do you wanna? Can be a dancer, can be a choreographer, whatever, But what question you want to leave to the next one?
In this world where everything is reachable, is there still a place that you really don't know what is there and that you would go to? Like it's a bit a thing. Is there still a place that you can't? That will be a cultural shock, but that you also cannot check.
Yeah, great question. So for you, I have a question from Guille Vidal, the president of the Professional Association of Dancers from Catalonia. He's saying, I phrase it first in Spanish and then I translate it for you. Anyway, you speak in Spanish, not just a bit, you know Spanish. So the question is, ¿qué deberíamos hacer que sea valiente ante esta situación política? So, under this political situation, with all these left parties rising in Europe, what we should do as a brave action to confront this?
You mean the right parties rising, not the left?
No, sorry, the right, yes.
Yes. What we should do? Yeah, I think the world is so polarized because of social media that as soon as something happens, it's a white noise of opinions. There are as many people against something as for something, so nothing has the right to exist anymore. And politics is also like this. People are more busy with let's destroy what the people say because we are in opposition. You understand? And I think right thing comes also from this thing of we have to scare the people to vote for us and to but what people want to be in a concrete block in a wall or something to be safe. I don't understand this thing. So there are also illusions that we will have to forget. Europe is a big illusion. I mean, with all the world around, Europe tries to be right-wing and this and that, but there has to be a kind of general intelligence who is not a party, which could be a thing, who said, look, if we want to survive in 100 years, we have to share, and there and there and there, we have to change this and this and this. And not anymore depending on stupid leaders who are in fact destroying their own people, and even political parties who are making a territory that is sometimes, you imagine that Flanders wants to separate from Wallonie. We are already not a country. We are a smashed together country from, and what's left? Okay, they speak a bit German, a bit French, and a bit Flemish. Let's still make it a country. We were not a country, even not like España, which is still España, but then you have Catalonia, you have Baskeland, and they all want this territory. While, in fact, I like this idea of non-property, which is impossible, but the idea that, when the Indian Americans were there, the land was from the nature, and they could use it. And then the immigrants came, and they put a fence, and they say, this is my property. And the Indian was looking to that, say, what are they doing? I like that. I was recently and to understand also that there are different opinions. Recently I was in Avignon seeing a beautiful show in the quarry of Boulbon, but absurd, sci-fi like this. And at the end people applaud, and the man behind us knocks on my friend and said, "Vous applaudissez, mais pourquoi? Pourquoi? Expliquez-moi." And the girl who is doing the sales in Ultima, he said, but because of this and because of this. So he went down, and the wife was already gone because he was very angry. He went down, and when I saw down, he was explaining to her, because of this and this and this, it's good. And she was like, but it's interesting to see how I saw other shows that I say, this is shit show, and everybody stands and applaud like this. So there are different opinions that you are like this and that. But we don't have to kill everything what's there. I loved the interest of the man that he said, he just didn't understand why we applaud. He was like, pourquoi? Je comprends pas. And it was beautiful. He was open, generous, but questioning. But now we live in a time, people know nothing about nothing, but still attack the other thing as if they are the biggest specialists. And that is making me really sometimes like, why don't you wait a bit? Why don't you look around a bit? Everything is instant. Tack, tack, tack. But what we have to do against that? Well, not become like them first. That's the one thing, I think. And just, be as generous as you can be. And show work also that can make the difference. I love when you have these people say, it was intense, but I don't understand nothing. It's great to have this audience. You understand? That they are fascinated, but they don't read it. It's much better than a fan club who applaud you even when you do shit.
Well, thank you so much, Vin, for having this time with us. It was a pleasure to know a bit more from the other side, and not talking about dance all the time, but where you are. So thank you so much. It was a pleasure too.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Well, this was the episode number 55 of the P Podcast, and see you in the next one. Thank you so much.